Hello again, welcome back to the show. Now, a professor of law at the University of Ottawa, Professor Jeremy Debier, is advising entrepreneurs within the informal sector not to overburden themselves with issues of intellectual property. Professor Debier, who was speaking at the launch of a 3-day Open African Innovation Research and Training in Accra, noted that the informal sector is different from development within the formal sector. The fear of piracy, some business owners in the informal sector do not want to open up with regards to sharing business ideas. Joy Business's Bismarck Awusa was at the launch of the program and has come through with this report.
According to a lecturer at the Law Faculty of the University of Ottawa, Canada, Professor Jeremy Debier, over-reliance on intellectual property can be detrimental to doing good business as an entrepreneur in the informal sector. He emphasized the need to collectively innovate within the informal sector, as this will not only help boost the business, but provide shared knowledge.
We always hear about how important intellectual property is to innovation and science and technology, but the truth is that intellectual property, based on our evidence, is not very relevant in the informal sector. Now, people think the ability to appropriate their ideas is important. They want to protect it from being stolen, but they do so through secrecy, and then they transfer knowledge through apprenticeships and through community circles in a very collaborative and open way. And so the idea that you can just come in and suddenly start patenting everything or using copyright protection to lock up your ideas is just not going to work in this context. Rather, we need to embrace the openness and the collaboration that makes innovation possible. You can't just take these foreign intellectual property laws and transplant them into the informal sector in Ghana and think that it's going to work miracles.
He also advocated the need for entrepreneurs to enroll in routine skills development.
Skills development is really important. Our research has shown that the transmission of skills in open and collaborative environments like shared workspaces and through skills development programs like apprenticeships is very important, and in fact much more important than intellectual property laws or taxation laws. It's really all about developing the skills. So when we see people learning to work with new technologies like 3D printers and other kinds of hardware and software that's available in maker spaces where people can tinker and experiment, that's all really important because it gives people the skills that they need to innovate and become entrepreneurs. Now, they need business skills as well, and that's happening in these spaces. When we look at the technology hubs in the private sector, in the informal sector, and even in partnership with some universities, we see them providing the skills and the training, both technical skills and business skills, to take their entrepreneurial ideas and really translate that into innovation that has impact.
The Open Air Transition Workshop is a network of 44 researchers from 15 countries with 7 hub universities across the continent and in Canada. The workshop seeks to undertake research that highlights knowledge and innovation that emanates from Africa.
Now, some drivers have expressed diverse opinions on the recent reduction in petroleum prices after President Akufo-Addo assented to the new Special Petroleum Tax Amendment Act last night. The change, according to Joy News' Efua Evans-Chinnery, is indeed reflecting at some fuel stations in Accra. She's been speaking with some drivers on the development.
No, there's no change. It's still the same. It's still the same, right?
Okay. So what you're saying is there's no change?
I haven't seen anything. Look at it. Have you seen anything? Anytime I buy it, I got this thing. It's still the same. I haven't seen any change.
Okay. So when you heard the news about the reduction in petroleum prices, how did you feel?
So I didn't feel anything. It's still the same.
Normally, if I intend to fill my tank, it will cost me about 3 million plus. I don't know of now. So I'm also failing, and I also want to know.
How much are you buying this morning?
I normally fill my tank. It takes me about 3 or 4 days, and so today the tank is empty and I want to fill it.
Okay. And how much are you?
I expect that it shouldn't be anything more than 3 million.
Okay. So it means that there's a slight change.
That is because I have heard
not much change.
There should be some. That change must be seen.
You're yet to see that change.
Normally, buy 320. Today I'm anticipating that I'll buy about 300 or maybe 305. That's what I'm anticipating now, but I'm yet to see.
But how did you feel when you heard that there's a reduction in petroleum prices?
I'm so much happy because I normally use car and if you ever hear that the fuel price had gone down, then it means it is a relief for people who use cars. So I'm happy to.
Even if it's 1 peso, it's a reduction. But what will its impact be to the pockets of the ordinary Ghanaian? Yes, today you're talking about this percentage. Is it going to reflect in price reduction? That is a face. If not, then to the ordinary Ghanaian it's irrelevant.
When you first heard the news?
I was very happy. I was very, very happy because...
How much were you buying before?
Every day I used to buy about 100 Ghana cedis for a day. And now maybe with this reduction, I think at least 80 Ghana.
You're hoping to pay less?
Yeah, so 60 Ghana or 80 Ghana will be fine for me.
Reduct the petrol, I think is good for us because this is what we have been crying for. Not me. Some can afford, some cannot afford. So if it equals to what we will benefit, I think we thank God. It's good because let me take this morning, this is what people were saying, so they are happy. So we are all happy.
There has indeed been a reduction in petroleum prices, and most drivers are excited because they get to pay less when they visit their favorite gas stations to buy either petrol or diesel. But most drivers I noticed are a little skeptical because they think it's going to be a one-off payment and they will soon go back to paying the same amount of money they were paying before. Some also think the news is ridiculous because they have not really seen any change. For Joy News, my name is Ifwa Evans-Chineri.
And in a related development, government has justified the marginal reduction of the special petroleum tax despite calls to scrap the entire levy. Sources close to government have indicated the review was carried out to ensure revenue is not impacted badly. Meanwhile, Deputy Finance Minister Kweku Kwatin tells Joy Business they were also concerned with lessening the impact on consumers anytime prices go up on the world market.
The point of this relief is not so much in savings. It is to correct a situation where anytime crude oil prices go up, and because we are practicing a partial deregulatory petroleum pricing regime, it is passed on to consumers. Then the tax on it also has to go up. So if crude oil prices go up, fuel prices go up, and then the taxes on fuel, because it is a percentage of the face value of the fuel. That is to say, if fuel prices go up, then the taxes on it too will be going up. So it was double hit for consumers because they'll be paying for the increased price of fuel, they'll be paying for the increased tax, which has been made a percentage of the fuel price. So what we have done today is to make that tax to make a tax which was ad valorem, that is to say, which was a percentage of the fuel price, to make it now a fixed tax. We call it specific. It's a specific tax. So even if crude oil prices were to go up, those taxes would remain the same. Hopefully, that will bring some long-term relief to consumers and to businesses as fuel prices change upwards.
All right, so meanwhile, we've been hearing that the National Petroleum Authority has been directing all oil marketing companies to reflect their prices with regards to the latest reduction. Let's still stay further in the downstream sector, and the Tema Oil Refinery is expected to resume operations fully from April this year after temporary works on some components of the crude processing plant is completed. Speaking to Joy Business, Managing Director of the TOR, or of the Tema Oil Refinery, Isaac Osei, disclosed the company currently refines primary products for the market.
TOR is not back to full operations, but TOR is producing diesel and gasoline, which are required in the Ghana market. But we still have to do some work on the catalytic cracker. And I'm quite sure that next month we'll have the full complement of TOR's operation.
So you can assure us that by next month we'll have it in operation fully? I can
assure you that as we speak, TOR is working.
Yeah, but fully, as you said, the cracker?
Well, it's working fully if we are just talking about the stream from the crude distillation unit. But we need to add additional value, by cracking our atmospheric residue to ensure that we have high octane gasoline, which can be then blended with the light naphtha for RON 91, which is required in Ghana. When we crack also, we are going to generate a lot of LPG gas.
So is it still receiving the fuel from 10, the crude from 10? We
do have crude from 10 in our tanks, and hopefully next week we'll have finished distilling the first 1 million barrels that we had in tank, and then we'll be starting with the 10 crude.
Just on the marketplace and still on petroleum taxes, the National Petroleum Authority (NPA) has directed all players in the oil marketing business to reduce their prices in line with revision in the special petroleum tax. Now, George Rafe has been looking at this issue. He's joined me here in the studio and to tell us what exactly the NPA has been saying. George, what's the issue?
So yesterday when we engaged the oil marketing companies, their argument was that even though Parliament has done the revision, even when the President assents to the bill and they don't get a directive, a letter from the National Petroleum Authority to review the prices, they are not going to change the prices. It's going to be like that. What we picked up last night and even this morning, that those letters have been dispatched and sent to all the oil marketing companies. Our checks this morning also showed that they've actually started reviewing the prices. So that is what actually, because there was initial communication from the OMCs that they are not going to review their prices, and that is why the National Petroleum Authority actually sent out these letters to all the players, the BDCs, the importers, the marketers, that this is what has done, so effect the changes and sell it at this price to consumers.
Now, drivers are already expressing mixed reactions following this reduction, but what have you been
Well, we have only spoken to the Ghana Private Road Transport Union. Don't forget that we also have the Ghana Road Transport Coordinating Council, the umbrella body. What we understand is that the Ghana Road Transport GPRTU has engaged a consultant that is trying to put together the numbers and all the rest to make a case for a review in transport fares. We also understand the Transport Ministry on their side has also gotten a consultant connecting or trying to work on the numbers to really see whether indeed transport fares should go up or not. So we tried to seek the views, or we sought the views of GPRTU, and they were telling us that, well, even though this tax has been reduced, there are a lot of factors they look at in terms of trying to review petroleum price or trying to review transport fares. So if petroleum prices have gone down, that shouldn't be 100, that shouldn't be the conclusion, or that shouldn't be a main determinant in terms of what they are going to charge with respect to these transport fares.
I wouldn't want to keep you here further because I know it's your birthday and you can't wait to go and have that lunch. But before you go, what are the opinions, or what about those people who think that the entire levy should be scrapped now that it's reduced?
Well, when you also engage government on their side, they argue that this tax brings a lot of revenue to the state. And if you know what happened last year, revenue hasn't been that good. So gradually, they are trying to reduce it gradually. As and when the revenue situation improves, we could end up taking those taxes off. And that is why they want to do it gradually. For others, also believe that if government is really committed to lessening the burden on businesses and even consumers, take this tax off and also remove the VAT on utility tariffs as well. If government is really committed in trying to ensure that businesses and individuals like you, the burden is lessened. So maybe they believe that government can do better than that. When you also engage government, they are saying that, well, let's observe the market and do a gradual reduction.
Thank you very much, George.
Thank you very much.
I wish you a happy birthday.
Thank you so much, Rafi.
Thank you. That was George Rafi, Assistant News Editor of Joy Business, bringing us up to speed with the call by the National Petroleum Authority to all oil marketing companies to make sure they reflect the current price regime. Now, moving on, growing Ghanaian tastes for foreign foods at the expense of local dishes has long-term implications for the country's cultural values and identity. Provost of Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology College of Sciences, Professor Ibok Udro, wants serious attention to help reverse the trend. At the Food Festival and Conference 2018 held in Kumasi, she blamed the situation, among others, on urbanization as well as the introduction of children to such foods at an early age.
Other things that makes the food very exciting, because when you combine sweet with pepper, it has a taste that you don't like.
At the Food Festival and Conference 2018, she blamed the situation, among others, to urbanization and early introduction of children to such food. Professor Odro believes with time this will lead to gradual loss of cultural identity.
So when a child is introduced to this type of food, then when you are trying to bring to eat yam, in my house they don't like yam, they said chewing, they don't want to chew. Then I ask them, do you swallow rice? They don't want plantain, do you swallow rice still? But they don't want anything difficult. So the content of the new generation is something that is easy to flow in the mouth, not chewing. But they forget that it helps strengthen the what? The tooth or the teeth, yes.
Food Festival and Conference brought together stakeholders in the local food industry to discuss the subject. It's aimed at celebrating Ghana's diverse food heritage and reintegrate value back into food system and culture. It's under the theme Combating Food Fraud and Promoting Traditional Foods. KNUST Pro Vice Chancellor Reverend Professor Charles Ansa suggests greater partnership between the university and other stakeholders.
I would also want to use this platform to appeal to the Food and Drugs Board, Food and Drugs Authority, and all food industry to partner the Department of Science, Food Science and Technology to support the excellent research and education to the general public on the science and safety of our foods.
We should remember that every
Executive Director of National Commission on Culture, Edna Nyame, wants a globally competitive local food industry through technology.
That every society on earth is going through transition, and we cannot continue to use sometimes the rudimentary methods of preparing our yaka, our cheke, our fufu, the others, when we can improve the methods to give them cutting edge in the global market.
Reporting for Joy News, Kwesi Deborah.
Now, they make $120 million a year and the leading local exporter for several years. The company received $4.5 million from the Belgian Development Fund to expand its footprints and help eradicate poverty in the value chain. Today on the business van, or a repeat of the business van, the searchlight is on Niche Cocoa, producers of Niche Chocolate, the fastest moving commodity at the duty-free stand at the Kotoka International Airport. Odilia and Intiamwa has more.
Chocolate is being packaged here at Niche Cocoa for today, Valentine's Day. This forms part of less than 5% of their business since they are in the Free Zones enclave, but it's fast moving, especially at the airports. To make Ghana have the full benefit of cocoa, the company's shy CEO, who will not speak, started the company as a schools project from Columbia University. A strong believer of breaking frontiers, Edmond Poku ventured into chocolate production to complete the value chain. Edmond sent Mary Dixon, the only female production manager in his team, to learn how to make chocolate and to do the whole setup.
We wanted a product that would be able to compete with the top-known brands, and so we needed to have the skill sets to be able to do that. And because of that, the company funded me traveling abroad and then spending some time with some chocolate companies who are well known. And then we had a couple of chocolate experts actually come here and work with me a little bit in the lab with the product development. So I was able to pick up a few things and then applied that to both the product design, packaging design, and then the setup of the entire place. Of course, with the help of the entire team, the technical team was very, very key in all of that.
Niche makes a whopping $120 million a year. Yes, you heard me right. From cocoa cakes to cocoa liquor. The company exports 50 containers full of goods to different destinations. Chief Operation Officer Lloyd Ashley says Ghana can only gain more from the cocoa sector if the final products, chocolate and other products, are produced right here.
The more we move from just selling raw cocoa products to selling semi-finished products, cocoa liquor, cocoa butter, cocoa cake, cocoa powder, and even chocolate, it increases our revenue output. That is even just for the industry and government.
Based on the work the company has done, the Belgium Development Fund gave them $4.5 million to expand. This doubled their production from 25,000 metric tons of cocoa to 50,000. Nish used to spend as much as $500,000 a year on diesel to generate power for its machines. With the injection from the Belgium Development Fund, cocoa husk is used to power the plants now through their boilers.
When it comes to looking at the environment with EP regulations, Belgian Investment Fund invested some money into we getting a shell boiler. So now the waste from cocoa is what we use to fire up our boiler, and that has even reduced our operating cost, because when we're running on diesel, we're spending close to $500,000 a year on diesel alone. But now it's zero because we are using the waste from our operations to fire up our boiler, which is a huge investment for us. So without the Belgium Investment Fund, I think our climb would have been very, very steep, but they made it gentle with their improved financial model, which has made us what we are today.
Based on these sustainable issues, the Belgium Queen could not miss out on visiting Nish when she came to Ghana. The huge endorsement for the quality of chocolate could not be missed. Nish has its footprints not only in the homes of its 360 workers in the Free Zones enclave, but it's in the lives of 10,000 farmers in various rural communities in the Volta and Eastern region. The company pays several extension officers to improve the yields of farms, and the farmers say they have already seen changes.
Our priority is to do sustainability, and with the cocoa trees being alive for so long as they can be maintained, you can also remain in your job, and you have the job security that your job is always available for you.
Last week, we featured Yaira Glover, the organic farmer who is making farmers get 40 Ghana cedis extra. Well, this is how Nish Cocoa comes in. Because they buy the premium cocoa from the organic buyer, farmers get the 40 cedis. So that
what we actually do is we pay premiums to the farmers. That is what Nish is paying. They pay 600 Ghana cedis more per metric ton. You know, and this premium is actually given to farmers. You know, farmers earn 40 Ghana cedis more per bag.
The help that they have provided me has helped me a lot. It has helped me grow more cocoa. So even when the cocoa season is over, I still get bonuses to take care of my farm.
So that's it for our chocolate month. My name is Odilia Ntiabwa.
And on that chocolatey note, we conclude the marketplace for today. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji Riafe. It's been a great pleasure having your company throughout the week. Let's meet again next Monday for more developments in the world of business. Have a good afternoon.